Imagine this. AI isn't just studying what we've already figured out. It's out there getting its own hands dirty, so to speak.
Right, like actually doing the work itself.
Exactly, conducting the experiments itself. Think about what possibilities that unlocks for you, AI, not just reading the textbook, but maybe, writing new chapters. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at a really inspiring report, the Era of Experience paper.
Yeah, I found this one fascinating.
It lays out exactly this shift. AI entering a totally new phase of learning, moving beyond just processing our data to gaining its own understanding through experience.
That's a pretty big idea.
Yeah.
For the last few years, we've all been amazed by AI trained on, just massive amounts of human stuff, information we created.
For sure.
We're talking about those large language models, right? LLMs. They generate really sophisticated text, tackle complex problems, even summarize dense legal docs. It felt like a huge leap already.
Oh, absolutely. These LLMs writing poetry, solving physics problems, even, helping with medical diagnosis or legal briefs. They've mostly been built on this vast ocean of data humans have produced.
Right.
But this Era of Experience paper, it makes a really compelling argument that we're starting to kind of tap out that resource.
Especially for the really tough stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like advanced math or cutting-edge coding or pushing the frontiers of science.
And what's really interesting is this idea that the best human data, the stuff at the absolute peak of our knowledge, there's just not that much more of it to feed the AI.
We're running out of the top-tier material.
Kind of. And maybe more importantly, the next big breakthroughs. The revolutionary ideas, the stuff that reshapes the future. They often lie beyond what we currently understand. Our data only goes so far.
Right, it can only teach what we know.
Precisely.
So our mission today is to really dig into this era of experience. We want to understand how AI will learn through its own interactions.
Yeah, what does that actually look like?
We'll look at some concrete examples and talk about what this shift could mean for AI's basic abilities and, what the major benefits might be for all of us.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's unpack this. What's the core difference then? Learning from experience versus learning from our data.
So the fundamental shift is, it's from AI being a passive sponge for our knowledge to becoming an active explorer.
Okay. Active.
Yeah, generating its own knowledge. So instead of just learning from static data sets of what we've done or written down, the AI will be out there, interacting with its environment.
Digital or physical?
Both, potentially.
Yeah.
Conducting experiments, making observations, and crucially, learning from the outcomes of its own actions.
So it's moving from reading about the world to actually, poking it and seeing what happens.
Exactly. Learning firsthand.
And the crucial point, I guess, is that this lets AI not just get better at what we know, but maybe uncover completely new things, stuff we haven't even thought of.
That's the really exciting part. It's not limited by the boundaries of our existing data anymore. And while it sounds like a massive leap, the paper suggests we might be seeing the very early signs of this already, even with current LLMs.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Think about how some are starting to use tools or get feedback from code execution. That's a basic kind of learning from interaction from experience.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. It's not just text in, text out. It's doing something, seeing the result.
Exactly.
The paper uses mathematics as a really powerful example here. Tell us about alpha proof. Why is that such a big deal?
Alpha proof is.
Yeah,
it's groundbreaking. It's the first AI to get a medal in the International Mathematical Olympiad.
Wow, that's serious math.
That's very serious math. And what's really important is that it did better than other AI systems that relied more heavily on just learning from human written proofs.
So the way it learned was different and better for this.
That's what it suggests, a fundamental advantage in the approach.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. How did it learn? What was the experiential part?
Right. So initially, it was shown a lot of human proofs, but 100,000 formal proofs.
Which is a lot.
It is a lot. But the real magic happened next. It used reinforcement learning.
Huh?
Think of it like it knew the rules of logic, and it had a goal. Prove these theorems.
Okay.
Then it just started exploring, trying things out, generating possibilities within the formal system. And it generated, get this, 100 million new proofs.
100 million? Whoa. Okay, that dwarfs the human input.
Massively.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just tweaking what we gave it. It was truly exploring.
It wasn't just memorizing.
Not at all. This constant trial and error, this interaction within the rules of math, let AlphaProof discover completely new ways, sometimes more efficient ways, to prove things.
Things humans hadn't found.
Exactly. It went into mathematical territory that wasn't fully mapped out by existing human proofs. It found solutions to problems considered really, really hard. It wasn't stuck on the paths humans had already walked.
That's profound. It wasn't just learning human math better. It was potentially finding new math.
That's the implication. And the DeepSeek work mentioned in the paper points in a similar direction, but for what they call informal math.
How did that work? Similar idea.
Pretty similar. In those experiments with more open-ended problems, they basically gave the AI the right incentives, the right goals. And then, using reinforcement learning, it figured out sophisticated problem-solving strategies all on its own.
Without being explicitly taught the strategies.
Right. No human telling it how to solve it. It just learned what worked by trying things and seeing what led to success, to the reward. Again, it shows AI can develop effective strategies independently through experience.
This really starts to paint a picture, doesn't it? AI moving beyond mimicry, towards its own way of understanding through doing.
Yeah, forging its own path.
Now, the paper outlines some key characteristics for this era of experience. Let's walk through those. First up is streams of experience. What's that about?
Think about how we interact with, say, a chatbot now. It's usually pretty short, right?
Yeah.
Isolated.
Yeah, you ask a question, get an answer, maybe ask a follow-up, then it's kind of over.
Exactly. That conversation doesn't really build long-term memory or context in a deep way.
It's like a series of separate encounters.
Precisely. Streams of experience is the opposite. AI agents will operate continuously over long periods, more like how humans learn.
Accumulating knowledge over time.
Yes, accumulating knowledge, adapting their behavior. Insights from past interactions genuinely influence future actions. Their goals can be long-term, unfolding over months, even years.
Okay, that sounds powerful. Can you give some real-world examples of how that might play out?
Sure. Imagine a personalized health agent. Not just a generic app, but something connected to your wearables for months, maybe years.
Okay.
It wouldn't just give daily tips. It would build a deep, long-term understanding of your specific body, your patterns, your sleep, your activity.
So it learns you.
Exactly. And over time, its recommendations become highly personalized, adapting as your health changes or your fitness goals evolve.
That's a big difference from current health apps.
Huge. Or think about education. A personalized tutor agent helping you learn, say, coding over 6 months. It tracks your progress, sees where you struggle, where you excel.
And adjusts how it teaches you.
Dynamically.
Yeah.
Adapting its methods based on your long-term learning journey, not just the last question you got wrong.
Wow. The potential for AI to develop this deep, evolving understanding of us individually, that's pretty significant.
And it goes bigger, too. The paper talks about science agents pursuing really long-term goals.
Yeah, what?
Like discovering new materials or finding ways to reduce atmospheric CO2. These aren't things you solve in one interaction.
Right. Those are massive ongoing challenges.
So the agent would continuously analyze real-world data, run simulations, maybe even design and oversee actual physical experiments over long stretches. The key is that an action today might not have an immediate payoff.
But it's part of a longer strategy.
Exactly. Contributing to that larger long-term objective. Things humans do, but AI could potentially do much faster or explore more options.
So it's about sustained long-term focus and exploration, which current systems aren't really built for. Okay, next characteristic. Richly grounded actions and observations. What's that mean?
This is moving beyond just text. It's about AI agents that can actually do things in the digital or physical world.
Take actions.
Take actions, yes, and then learn directly from the consequences, using various kinds of sensory input or feedback.
Okay, so not just processing text, but interacting.
Right. We're seeing early versions now, like LLMs using software tools or writing and running code and learning if the code worked or crashed.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And now there are prototypes of agents that can use computers like we do, clicking buttons, filling forms, navigating websites.
Giving AI agency in the digital world, it's fascinating.
And it extends further. Imagine that science agent again. Maybe it monitors environmental sensors directly, or controls a telescope remotely, or operates lab robots.
Whoa. Okay, so real-world interaction.
Potentially, yes, mediated through digital interfaces initially, but the key is the ability to act and observe the results directly. This lets the AI actively explore, adapt in real time, and maybe find strategies or solutions we'd completely miss.
It gets AI out of the purely abstract text world and into a more dynamic loop with reality, even if it's digital reality at first. Makes sense. Okay, third one. Grounded rewards. How's that different from how we train AI now?
Well, a lot of current training, especially with human feedback like RLHF, relies on humans judging the AI's output.
Right, someone says good answer or bad answer.
Exactly. But that inherently limits the AI. Its potential gets capped by our understanding, our biases.
Yeah.
We can only reward what we recognize as good.
So we can't easily reward it for something truly novel that we don't understand yet.
That's the challenge. Grounded rewards are different. They're signals of success or failure that come directly from the environment itself, objectively.
Independent of human opinion.
Largely, yes. So the AI's progress is measured by tangible outcomes.
Okay, examples.
For that health assistant, the reward isn't just a human saying good advice. It could be actual measured improvements in the user's resting heart rate, or sleep duration, or activity levels from their watch.
Ah, the data itself is the reward signal.
Exactly. For an education agent, maybe it's the user's scores on tests. For that climate science agent, it would be real measurements showing CO2 levels going down or material strength increasing.
So the AI is incentivized by achieving verifiable results in the world, not just pleasing a human evaluator.
Precisely. And the paper makes a neat point. Even some human feedback can be a grounded reward. Like, does the cake the AI recipe generated taste good? That's a direct sensory consequence.
Or how tired you feel after a workout, it's suggested.
Right. It reflects a real consequence. And the world is full of these potential grounded signals. Costs, error rates, productivity metrics, health data, loads of things.
This sounds like it could really unlock AI's ability to find effective, maybe unexpected solutions.
That's the hope. And the paper even touches on flexibly adapting these rewards based on user goals. You might tell the AI, improve my fitness, broadly.
Okay.
And the system could then learn to combine various grounded signals, heart rate, sleep, steps, in a way that optimizes for your definition of fitness improvement over time.
So it uses objective signals to achieve a subjective goal.
Kind of, yeah. They mentioned a bi-level optimization. Optimize user feedback or goals at the top level, using grounded signals at the lower level to get there.
That's a clever way to bridge autonomous learning with user needs. Okay, final key characteristic, planning and reasoning about experience. How does that change?
So right now, LLMs are getting good at reasoning using language, like chain of thought where they explain their steps.
Yeah, mimicking how we might talk through a problem.
Exactly. But it's still tied to human language, our ways of thinking. The paper suggests that language, while great for us, probably isn't the single best way to compute or reason universally.
There might be more efficient ways for an AI.
Potentially, yes. Systems learning directly from interaction might discover new, more powerful methods of planning and reasoning. Methods not constrained by how we happen to structure thoughts and language, or the biases baked into language from different eras.
Like AlphaProof again, finding non-human ways to prove theorems.
Exactly. And grounding this reasoning in real-world interaction is crucial. It helps overcome flawed assumptions or biases that might be in the human data it was initially trained on.
So interacting, testing hypotheses, seeing results that refines its reasoning.
In a much more robust, objective way. It's about moving beyond mimicking human thought processes to developing its own, potentially more powerful reasoning grounded in experience.
How does planning fit in?
The paper brings up the idea of a world model. This is like the AI's internal simulation of how the world works based on its experiences.
Okay.
It allows the AI to predict the likely consequences of its actions. What will happen if I do X? What rewards might I get? This prediction ability is what enables planning.
So it can think ahead.
Right. That health assistant could use its world model to predict. If I recommend going to the gym versus listening to this podcast, how will that likely affect the user's heart rate and sleep tonight and maybe their stress levels next week? Then it plans the best sequence of actions.
It's simulating futures based on learned experience. Got it. So why is this big shift happening now? What makes this the right time for the era of experience?
It feels like a natural convergence.
Yeah.
We had sort of the era of simulation. First, think AI learning to play Go or Atari games. Reinforcement learning worked great there in closed worlds with clear rules and rewards.
Right, games.
Then came the era of human data, the LLMs. The focus shifted to generality, learning from everything we've written, but maybe losing some of that self-discovery power from RL.
Okay.
The era of experience aims to combine the best of both, the generality of LLMs with the self-discovery and improvement power of experiential learning, especially RL.
What enabled this combination?
Two main things, really. One, we're getting much better at building autonomous agents that can actually interact with complex environments, digital or even physical. Two, reinforcement learning methods themselves are getting more powerful, better suited for these open-ended, real-world type problems, not just games.
So we have agents that can act, and we have learning algorithms that can learn effectively from those actions in messy, real-world settings.
That's the idea. We have the pieces coming together.
And the paper talks about reinforcement learning making a comeback or re-emerging.
Yeah, it's interesting. RLHF, reinforcement learning from human feedback, has been huge for aligning current models, making them helpful and harmless.
Right, making them behave.
But it also kind of kept them tethered to human knowledge and preferences.
Yeah.
And it often focused on short interactions, not these long streams we discussed.
So the new era lets RL break free a bit.
It's an opportunity to revisit and boost classic RL ideas, but apply them to these long streams of grounded, autonomous interaction. Things like designing reward functions from real data, handling long time horizons, exploring the real world safely and effectively, building those world models.
Applying core RL principles in a much richer, more complex context.
Exactly. Taking RL out of the game simulators and into the real world, or at least complex digital worlds that mirror it.
Okay, so stepping back, what are the big picture consequences? What are the major benefits we might see from AI learning through experience?
The potential benefits are, well, they're huge. We could see just unprecedented acceleration in science.
Like what areas?
Material science, drug discovery, medicine, designing better computer chips.
Yeah.
Fields where exploring possibilities and running experiments is key. Imagine AI autonomously designing, running, and analyzing experiments to find new materials or drugs way faster than we can.
That alone is wow, a massive potential impact on health and technology.
Absolutely. And then there's the personal side. Those truly personalized assistants we talked about.
Yeah.
For health, education, professional development. Assistants that really learn you over the long term and help you achieve your goals.
Not just tools, but like partners in growth.
That's the vision. Active partners. Of course, there are challenges to job displacement, trust, safety with autonomous systems. The paper acknowledges these, but the focus here is the potential upside.
And are there safety benefits to this experiential learning approach?
Potentially, yes. Agents learning in the real world might be more adaptable to unexpected changes. They might be able to correct misaligned goals through feedback from actual consequences. And real-world interaction often has natural time constraints, which might limit certain risks compared to pure simulation.
Interesting. So the grounding itself could provide some safety guardrails.
It's a possibility being explored.
So wrapping up, it really feels like we're standing at the edge of a new chapter. AI moving past imitation towards genuine learning through doing.
Yeah, it's a fundamental shift. Beyond just processing human knowledge to generating its own understanding through direct engagement. It could unlock totally new capabilities.
We talked about AlphaProof pushing math boundaries, those potential long-term health and science agents. It's clear this is a major turning point.
A move towards potentially superhuman capabilities in specific domains, driven by this experiential learning.
So as AI shifts from just reading our textbooks to running its own experiments, generating its own insights, it leaves us with a thought for you, the listener. Now that AI can learn by doing, what are the real limits to what it can discover? And maybe more profoundly, how might that reshape your own understanding of knowledge itself and how discovery happens?
Yeah, what does it mean when AI has its own unique stream of experience, its own way of learning about the universe that's not entirely based on ours?
Something to think about. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.